Mr. President, you ought to know that this nation is more a tale of two cities than it is just a shining city on a hill. Maybe, Mr. President, if you visited some more places, maybe if you went to Appalachia where some people still live in sheds, maybe if you went to Lackawanna where thousands of unemployed steel workers wonder why we subsidize foreign steel.
The religious guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have never bombed any churches, have never murdered any little girls, as was done in Birmingham, have never lynched anybody, have never at any time been guilty of initiating any aggressive acts of violence during the entire 33 years or more that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching us. The charge of violence against us actually stems from the guilt complex that exists in the conscious and subconscious minds of most white people in this country. They know that they've been violent in their brutality against Negroes, and they feel that someday the Negro is going to wake up and try and do unto them as they have done do unto the whites as the whites have done unto us. We aren't a violent group. We are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to obey the law, to respect everyone who respects us. We're taught to display courtesy, to be polite, but we're also taught that at any time anyone in any way inflicts or seeks to inflict violence upon us, we are within our religious rights to retaliate in self-defense to the maximum degree of our ability. We never initiate any violence upon anyone, but if anyone attacks us, we reserve the right to defend ourselves. So to accuse us of being violent is like accusing a man who is being lynched, who is being hung on a tree, simply because he struggles vigorously against his lyncher. The victim is accused of violence, but the lyncher is never accused of violence. And I only point this out because the various racist groups that are set up in this country by whites and who have actually practiced violence against blacks for 400 years are never associated or identified or made synonymous with the term violence. But whites speak of Muslims almost synonymously with violence. Whenever Muslims are mentioned by them, violence is brought up, but it's not connected with any other group. This is a sort of a propaganda tactic, or what I would call psychological warfare.
Don't change up your agreement. I'm going to try to walk with you. All right. Local, don't try to harm me. Keep your word. I can keep you safe. All right? Don't worry about safety. I'm not a fucking murderer. All right? Don't try to harm me. I'm trying to harm you. All right? Do it. Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't make noise! Put it up! Move it! Move it up! Get your hands up! Still got the knives in his hand? Still got the knives in his hand. Still got his knives in his hand. Put your hands out to your side and drop the knife. Hands out to your side. Beanbag! Beanbag! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Still got the knife in his hand? Dog on him? Negative effect. Still going dog on him? I can get him on him. Yeah, I don't want that knife in his head. That's good. I'll be your hands free.
The family says the person who shot and killed their beloved pet was a police officer.
I heard a pop, 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 and I was like, what is going on? So I stood up and looked out this window right here out of my house, and I see the St. Louis Police Department standing over my dog that's all bloodied, laying right here.
Brian Getzinger is describing the shocking scene he saw in his backyard around 3 this afternoon. His beloved golden retriever Scout had been shot.
The cop came out, opened up my gate, the dog came out, he cornered him right over here, and the dog growled at him. So he shot him, or he shot once, and then the dog ran over here, and that's where he emptied his firearm out, right here in my lawn.
Lori Wansley was visiting her mother, who lives across the street from the family. She says the dog was in her mother's yard for just a few minutes before it headed back home and ran into the officer.
It wasn't provoked, it wasn't warranted. He just started shooting him. He just kept shooting him in the head. I saw it like 6 or 8 times, and I just couldn't believe it. And I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "He's just a puppy."
I just couldn't believe that, let alone the police were in my yard shooting anything, let alone my dog, who is sweet. He's been our family pet for at least 8 years. We've had him since he was a puppy. My daughter sleeps with him periodically, and he's just the nicest dog. He's never attacked anyone ever. So I just couldn't understand why someone would shoot him.
Still alive, the dog was rushed to the vet, but later died. Getzinger says the family is devastated.
They're sad, you know. It's been our family pet for a long time, so.
This is an oral summary of Miracle Number 2, the prediction of the Boston Marathon bombings. 7 days before the Boston Marathon bombings, the Messiah sent Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts a draft copy of My Model of Your Reality. It is easier to raise strong children than to fix broken men. And this was not a coincidence, simply a demonstration of the predictive behavior section of my model. The abilities to tell the future is not unique to advanced souls. There are many instances I list in the document called The Hand of God, and divine intervention is also manifest in the courtesy copy of the letter sent to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. So in this document, it's important to recognize that ignorance has life and death consequences. So when you ignore the Messiah's request for Nobel Prize nominations, people suffer and die. And so what I do with this document is to compare the gains in wealth and that is allowed to be created, and people not injured, and so that wealth is added to the positive side. So within the first year of the implementation of my model, all the recommendations, the wealth allowed to be created and not destroyed is $2.8 trillion. Let me repeat that again. In 1 year, the gains from implementing all the recommendations of my model, in real terms, 1 year, $2.8 trillion. Now, what I do here is just to compare my gains after 1 year with those of 2 other Nobel Prize recipients, Albert Einstein and the discoverers of the DNA. So let's start with Albert Einstein, and just specifically we'll stick to the one equation, E equals mc squared, which was used to convince the United States to develop the atom bomb. But because WASP's favorite crime, personal crime, is mass murder, the atomic bombs were dropped on, 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Japan. Unnecessarily. Yes, Oliver Stone's documentary shows that this was a war crime, and you can go on YouTube and listen to generals of that era state that dropping the bombs on Japan was a war crime, but that's what this piece of shit of a country does, is war crime, like the invasion of Iraq. And you can hear Malcolm X talk about some of them also. So far, we have mass murder. Thank you, Albert Einstein. And how about nuclear reactors? Let's just blame that on him too. So nuclear reactors produce waste that takes 50,000 years to decay, and we are still suffering right now from radiation from Fukushima. And if we don't decommission 420 nuclear reactors before I blow the Yellowstone supervolcano in order to save the planet, we'll have a cooler planet, but the atmosphere will be radioactive. Okay, so let's compare Manny's accomplishments in 1 year. Okay, so Albert Einstein 0, Manny, the Messiah 1. Okay, so let's compare the discoverers of DNA. Okay, Manny 2,800,000,000,000. After 1 year of their discovery, nothing, right? And we'd be further along with our use of DNA if you hadn't allowed females to control your civilization and destroy everybody's brain cells, lower everybody's IQ, destroy everybody's DNA, and give everybody cancer for the last 100 years. So, the Messiah 2, other Nobel Prize winner 0, and that's basically all this document pointed out, was that by not implementing my solutions, by ignoring my original request for Nobel Prize nominations in 2007, millions of people have been injured and killed, and all the blood of all those deaths and all that suffering is on the hands of those who ignored my previous request for Nobel Prize nominations in 2007.
This question of violence has become more and more important, especially as the summers progress. It seems that the summers are equivalent with violence in many of the cities. There have been many complaints among many people that some of the violence is not necessarily directed at civil rights, at human rights, but is more an excuse by some people for a vandalism type.
That analysis itself is an excuse by the society itself for its own failure to have eliminated the negative conditions that exist in black communities. When you find the criminal conditions that exist in the black community and have existed for so long, it's only natural to expect the degree of frustration to mount in those communities to such degree that an explosion is inevitable. And in these explosions, one doesn't plan to be polite or to direct his energy, his exploding energy, in any one direction. This is something to expect in any explosion. That's a sociological explosion, or an explosion that stems from social conditions that are criminal. You don't expect everybody in that area to explode intelligently and legally and lawfully and politely. You have all types of elements in that community.
This is one of the major problems, is that there are many explosions going on, and what I'm wondering is if it would not be easier to prevent the explosion than try to pick up all the pieces after it happened.
It would be more intelligent to prevent the explosion rather than to pick up the pieces after it happens. But again, you're dealing with a power structure that consists of primarily of politicians. And instead of trying to remove the causes of the explosion, they deal with the conditions, so to speak. And leave the causes there. When the black community becomes explosive, they get some big Negro leader and send him in to quiet the community down. They never remove the causes that create the conditions, but they have these little century-old methods that always have failed in instances like this.
Would you say that the work being done now in the South by people that are from some of the other civil rights organizations like SNCC and CORE and the NAACP towards voter registration, towards education of these people, is this at all useful? Does this fit into your idea?
Education is first. Voter registration is second.
But you do see this as helping.
Yes, education is the first step toward solving any problem that exists anywhere on this earth, which involves people who are oppressed. As a rule, the oppressed people lack education, and this has affected their ability to affected their ability to cope with their problem. themselves, and their inability to cope with their own problem places them at the mercy of someone else who's supposed to come up with a solution for their problem, but who can't without a conflict of interest. It's only when the masses of people can approach their own problem that their problem will be solved. If you react to defend yourself, I don't call your reaction violence. And all I say in this context of violence is that our people never will initiate acts of aggression indiscriminately against whites. But I do say that the black man in this country, if he's attacked, he should strike back. Yes, I say that even if it costs him his life, he should strike back. He should in no time, no matter what the odds are, let someone come and issue a beating upon him when he's doing nothing other than seeking his rights as a human being. No, he should fight back if it costs him his life. And if he has to take life in fighting back, he shouldn't even hesitate to do so. If someone is trying to take his life, he shouldn't hesitate to take the lives of those clan-like elements that are trying to take his life. No.
I will end this first of a series of 3 videos by reading the letter sent to New York Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo, which was a complete copy of my model and his courtesy copy of the letters and the complete copy of the model sent to New York Mayor Bill de Blasio. And it reads as follows. To New York Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo, this is your copy of my model of your reality titled, It is Easier to Raise Strong Children Than to Fix Broken Men, that was sent to New York Mayor Bill de Blasio at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time on December 22nd, 2014. In addition is included another example of divine intervention that manifested itself that same day at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Regarding protecting millions of African and Hispanic Americans from being injured and killed by wasp pigs and Nobel Prize nominations for peace and medicine. Hey, Mayor Bill de Blasio. This is the first of many examples of divine intervention directly tied to the Messiah's requests for Nobel Prize nominations sent to Mayor Bill de Blasio and Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo. The Messiah sent his request to the mayor at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. What else occurred later that same day that indicates that the hand of God is at work with the Messiah's quest to delay the destruction of his father's planet? This announcement was made on December 22nd, 2014 at 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time. And quote, ex-officer not charged in fatal Milwaukee shooting. December 22nd, 2014, 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time. Milwaukee County District Attorney John Grisham said Christopher Manny, spelled M-A-N-N-E-Y, won't be charged because he shot Dontre Hamilton in self-defense, which is bullshit. He killed an unarmed black man who was defending himself from this scumbag. Manny, spelled M-A-N-N-E-Y, is at least the third inbred wasp mass murdering rabid dog American fucking pig across the country to avoid charges in the past month after a confrontation that led to a black man's death, or should I say a black unarmed man's death. Notice the spelling of this typical American mass murdering rabid dog's last name. M-A-N-N-E-Y. Manny, notice my nickname, Manny, M-A-N-N-Y. Are there any similarities? Did I have secret knowledge that this announcement was going to be made the same day I made the most recent request for Nobel Prize nominations? And no, there is no such fucking thing as coincidence, yiddles. Did I go back in time and arrange for this shit for brains Christopher Manny to change his name just so this request for Nobel Prize nominations would be made the same day that another manifestation of a corrupt, insane, suicidal civilization was made public, which confirms that all wasp pigs must be immediately replaced by RoboCop technology, as the Messiah is stating in this request for Nobel Prize nominations, in order to state that this is just another sign of divine intervention. And did the Messiah, brackets, the good one without an E, close brackets, force this scumbag, wasp, feminized dick breath Milwaukee County District Attorney John Grisham to announce on December 22nd, 2014 at 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time, brackets, just before Christmas, close brackets, that another Nazi fucking pig has legally been allowed to lynch another unarmed minority citizen whose skin was not that disgusting pasty color of the typical mass-murdering American psycho. This argument sounds exactly like the kind of crazy-ass, inbred, Republican birther, KKK, NRA, mental diarrhea honky fucks use to justify disrespecting my president. Let me point out how these corrupt Nazi fucking wasp pigs intentionally delayed the announcement that no indictment would be made, even though the decision had been made much earlier in order to show disrespect, inflict additional pain, and ruin the holiday of African murder victims. Just like the menopausal mercury-crazed Toxoplasma gondii-infected psycho bitches at the California Unemployment Office tried to do to the Messiah, which is example number 2 of typical American mass-murdering wasp genetic garbage behavior and divine intervention. The shit for brains in Ferguson waited until Thanksgiving week, and the wasp genetic garbage in Milwaukee County District Attorney John Grisham intentionally waited until Christmas week to announce what everybody already knows, that wasp pigs are sadistic scumbags, criminals with badges and blue uniforms that must all be replaced by robots controlled by Indians in India. No amount of training will stop the insane, suicidal behavior of wasps or the NYPD. The mass murder of the Charleston 9 proves that pretty much, I would say. The frequency of mass killings by wasps in general can only increase in frequency. My model of your reality, titled "It is easier to raise strong children than to fix broken men," is based upon the laws of mathematics, physics, chemistry, and genetics. This means my mathematics and conclusions cannot be challenged by your social media diarrhea mental garbage. My model is divided into sections called miracles with individual directories. All supporting documentation referenced within the document should be within the same directory or in the generic images directory. Directory number 1 reads, the following 7 documents together are miracle number 1. 1 of 7. The reasons for mass killings in America and the steps required to slow the frequency of mass murders. Number 2 of 7. The general effect at its cause. 3. The causes of brain damage leading to the permanent lowering of the American intelligence quotient. 4. The Americans responsible for mass murders, which we all know are wasp inbred scumbags with skin that disgusting pasty color. 5. The solutions for the 90-year drought. 6. The solution solar panel installation requires a full structural analysis
I didn't include the text of that, but basically the city of Monterey Park has a very high concentration of wasps due to the fact that the sheriffs are stationed there and the emergency services for the county. So they don't accept global warming exists, wouldn't allow me to install an artificial lawn, which looked great. They want me to waste water instead of putting a beautiful artificial lawn in. They wouldn't allow me to put in solar panels or wind turbine, even though I live at the end of a canyon. I get wind every evening. Okay, moving on. Number 7, the solutions entire without water and solar, which I've inserted into a caption. It's titled, Hey, Xavier and John, to Xavier, the head of the Democratic caucus, and John the boner, the head of the suicidal caucus. Miracle 2. The prediction of the Boston Marathon bombings. Miracle 3. Justice after the lynchings, protecting millions of Americans. Withheld insurance through the ACA for being injured and killed. Miracle 4. I'm taking 7 strokes off your game, Joe, so there are no more reasons for you not to run for president. I was hoping Joe Biden would run. I don't know what happened. Directory 7, cover sheets for lawsuits. Okay, so case ALH05C01527. ALH stands for Alhambra, California, which is Cardoza versus the Los Angeles Community College District, where the Messiah sues the Los Angeles Community College District for poisoning students with preservatives and anatomy and biology classes and poisons in chemistry classes, and for torturing, allowing tenured psycho bitch and psycho asshole WASP teachers, torturing their students with heat and giving them Adolf Hitler's birthday off as a holiday. And then case number ALH05C01481, which Cardoza versus Dorothy Dixon, typical American WASP psycho bitch, third-wave feminist, misandric, male-hating, who intentionally gives her male students lower grades. While only 3% of any of her classes are male, 99% of the clients against this bitch are from males. And I've also inserted what I'm reading here. Hey, Mayor Bill de Blasio, and also Hey, Xavier and John, which I've included in the texts. Okay, so reading on here. The totality of the model, when implemented, generates within the first year $2,320 billion of wealth. I am asking that you nominate me for the Nobel Prize for Peace for the totality of this work, and ask doctors and medical organizations to nominate me for the Nobel Prize in Medicine. The titles of the documents describe the subject being discussed within the miracle. With the resources of 2 Nobel Prizes, there is a 50-50 chance I will be able to delay the destruction of the planet long enough to establish lifeboat space, Moon and Mars colonies. And at this point, I insert the article which states that the methane is rising from the Arctic seafloor, and that is why I'm stating that by the year 2045, due to regenerative global warming feedback cycles, the planet and all life are dead. With the resources of 3 Nobel Prizes, I can assure delay of the destruction of my father's planet long enough to establish colonies in the solar system, which will be assisted by the establishment of a universal faith for the entire planet. Only the Messiah has the knowledge, intelligence, and the help of divine intervention to accomplish these goals. This is why the timing of the mailing of these requests for Nobel Prize nominations is not random and are always followed by events which support the topic being specifically addressed within that request. Miracle 3, the prediction of the Boston Marathon bombings, is another perfect example of this phenomenon. Example number 2 is not just another example of divine intervention on the Messiah's behalf, but again supports the fact that all wasps in the unclean scrotums of albinos, the USA, are massively brain-damaged, insane, suicidal rabid dogs and the minions of Satan. This is a scan of the upper portion of the letter sent to the Messiah on December. Yeah, I'm gonna admit that, though that did piss me off just before Christmas. Okay, and we're gonna bypass that shit, and okay, and then we're gonna skip down to, okay, so we're gonna skip down, but enough of this boring crap, which it is boring. Let us move on to the real reason I have written to you, which is much more fun and immediately rewarding for all concerned. My model of your reality, titled "It is easier to raise strong children than to fix broken men," is my introduction and proves with exquisite detail that I am the only American who is not massively brain damaged, insane, and suicidal. And if you are a wasp, then you are also a rabid dog and a minion of Satan. Mayor Bill de Blasio is not a wasp by definition in the Messiah's world. The French and Native Americans of the disputed areas had good horizontal, the beast for two backs kind of relationships. Well, there should be a map showing about the war. What is it? The Native. Anyway, it was between the East Coast settlers and the French and the Indians on the west side of the battle. Okay, so we're jumping down to here. With existing, here, this is the fun part. This is where I'm recommending the RoboCop technology. With existing off-the-shelf technology with absolutely no cost to the city of New York, which I call New Greed, 80% of the NYPD can replace with RoboCop technology within 3 weeks. Literally within 3 weeks, with the input of an enthusiastic nation, 80% of the New York City's police department could be replaced by remotely and fully autonomous robots, RoboCops. This means the money needed to fund the NYPD could be cut by 70, more like 90%, with a 90% decrease in crime and a 100% decrease in wrongful deaths, bullying, false arrests, and murder of minorities. Robots are able to climb stairs and they can fly. So instead of having some idiot wasp clear the stairwells of housing projects in New York, Indians in India control a trio of RoboCops. One of these treaded RoboCop platforms can walk up the stairs while another one walks down the stairs. Simultaneously, each platform releases flying drones, so no one is dead. No one has to die. Like Curly. If you're in Afghanistan and see a toy-sized helicopter flying around, it is likely the British Army watching you. It's a little toy helicopter called the stairwell. I'm just saying we could use this to clear stairwells instead of some cop who shoots people. This stairwell clearing flying drone is called the Black Hornet, or more formally, the PD-100 Personnel Reconnaissance System, which are designed by Props Dynamics of Norway. It is supplied via a British firm, Marlborough Communications, which has a £20 million contract with the military for 160 of them. We can go even smaller with insect-sized drones. The U.S. Air Force has backed the project to use this drone to look for IEDs and for surveillance missions. Okay, so the entire stairwell is cleared in 5 seconds, and Akai Gurley is still alive. Absolutely every piece of the technology necessary to make this happen yesterday already exists. Is inexpensive due to mass production and have lots of spare parts. And there's a picture of Akai Gurley's 2-year-old daughter, Akila. Her father did not have to die. You need only to ask, and every nerd like Bill Gates and the entire city of San Jose will donate materials, resources, and work 40 hours straight to produce for you 3 fully operational RoboCop platforms that can perform all law enforcement activities. and I'm going to change that to Justice Enforcement because your laws are shit. If you were to ask the general public for monetary support of the project, the response to this request can be estimated by the large crowds protesting the dragon-controlled oligarchy that loves to lynch and murder unarmed minorities. The militarized police state, which could justifiably be called, here I'm insulting you, replacing 100% of WASP, NYPD, and sheriffs with RoboCops will save bankrupt cities millions of dollars every year from not having to pay to defend out of control and unaccountable militarized police. I'm talking about SWAT teams and the other, everybody else actually. The city of New Greed will not have to pay out millions of dollars every year to settle WASP, NYPD, brutality, false arrest, excessive force, robbery, rape, torture, extortion, and murder lawsuits. That's because a RoboCop does not need the city of New Greed to pay into officer retirement accounts. Yeah, robot doesn't retire. It doesn't need you to pay. For unions either. Robots don't have police unions. A robot does not need health insurance. A RoboCop does not need dental insurance or vision insurance, life insurance for itself or its demon spawn, or matching 401k deposits. A RoboCop, autonomous or controlled by Indians in India, does not bleed when it gets shot or fear for its pathetic life, and cannot become drug and alcohol addicted or eat donuts and become obese. RoboCops do not turn into sadistic scumbags after 5 years on the force who only have cop friends. This happens to all people in police. 5 years, they turn into scum. Okay, and what happens to them? They only have cop friends. They believe anyone who is not a cop is a scumbag. That includes their family, their old friends. They belong to the Ku Klux Klan. I call it the Koch brothers Klux Klan, the NRA, nuts, racists, and assholes. And they act like basketball plantation owners, like assholes, racist assholes. RoboCops controlled by Indians in India do not plant knives, guns, and evidence on the unarmed minority they just murdered, then file a false incident report which supports their criminal behavior. Yeah, like a fucking switchblade knife on some kid. Did nothing. He broke him up. Nor do RoboCops need bathrooms. RoboCops don't need the pigs. Oh, wait a minute. Nor do RoboCops need bathrooms or the people the pigs murder in the street who clean the bathrooms. I'm talking about the janitors. RoboCops don't need air conditioning or coffee makers, coffee filters, toilet paper, natural gas, heaters, hot water, offices, desks, chairs, calendars, Windex, soap, paper towels, lockers, pens, printer paper, printers, printer ink cartridges, copiers, police unions, computers, fax machines, tanks, IED armored vehicles, machine guns, military uniforms designed for the jungles of jungles of Vietnam, or Iraq. We're in a fucking city. Stupid motherfuckers. Mortars, RPGs, 50 caliber sniper rifles, or tear gas, which is illegal to use on domestic populations. It's international law. RoboCops remotely controlled by Indians in India will never kill an African man with a chokehold, or kill a Hispanic kid in an open carry state returning a friend's toy rifle, or kill an African man buying a toy rifle at Walmart in Ohio, which is an open carry fucking state. You never hear that on the radio, do you, or on the news? That's because the dragons that control the media and the racist pigs that like killing minorities don't like you to know that, because it's fucking murder. Both Tamir Rice and John Crawford were killed in open carry states. If they were white, nothing would have happened to them. Okay, back to kill. Okay, so I'm back to kill an African man buying a toy rifle at Walmart in Ohio, an open carry state, while he is talking on the phone. Nor will 6 RoboCops beat a 125-pound mentally challenged man, homeless man to death just for the fun of it. Talked about or shoot at fleeing suspects. Shoot, how many times has that happened? Or kill a suspect with his hands up and shouting, "Don't shoot." Or in Jackson, Mississippi, allow your African or Hispanic grandmother to be murdered because her skin was not that disgusting pasty color of the typical mass murdering American psycho. If these typical, massively brain damaged, insane, suicidal, wasp, rabid dog minions of Satan, Cleveland, shithead pigs had parked their white supremacy vehicle 40 feet from Tamir Rice and then used a bullhorn to talk to Tamir, who was carrying a BB gun in an open carry state, even these feminized Nazis could not have been able to justify shooting a 12-year-old boy with a toy gun in an open carry state. Now, a RoboCop driving up in a self-powered, self-driven Google car with nobody in it would have driven up, said, "Hi, Tamir, what's up?" "Oh, I'm playing." "Oh, is that a toy gun?" "Yeah, this is the guy in India talking to him." "Oh, okay, bye." And nobody would have got shot. And how much does that cost? A Google car, huh? Nothing. Doesn't cost shit. It doesn't need a gun. It doesn't need life insurance. It doesn't need health insurance. You know, it doesn't need we don't need them at all. They're fucking wasp psycho assholes. Okay. Back. RoboCops never look ridiculous like these pansy-ass honky fucks wearing uniforms designed for the jungles of Vietnam. And I totally agree with the mailbox. On Main Street in America, which I spell KKKA. If these feminized KKK, NRA, Nazi whales really want to camouflage themselves then they should be wearing dollar store uniforms. This is how the encounter with Kajim Powell might have occurred using RoboCops. He was murdered, another black man was murdered, was unarmed. All of this technology is being used today. You just need to package it as I am suggesting. The Super Cruise, or Google, unmanned patrol panel van pulls up playing ice cream truck music as it parks itself in the normal way other cars are parked. Not in the crazy cowboy get out and shoot people way that the pansy-ass pigs do. The side of the pan raises up like the robot transport from the movie I, Robot, and a Simo steps onto the sidewalk. His black faceplate is replaced with a high-definition video screen. He has high-quality speakers facing forward. Culturally correct music is being played as soon as the side of the police van opened. Asimo raises both its hands using the "don't shoot" symbolism. On the screen appears Chris Rock or any number of black comedians who have signed on to interact with suspects from their cell phones, which is now possible due to advances in communications technology. Then people the suspect is familiar with, such as clergy and family members, are contacted and brought into the interaction using 6 different video windows in the same high-definition screen using DSL. If necessary, Asimo is armed with 7 different levels of force, and there are other types and sizes of robots using different forms of force described earlier, ready to be deployed from the same vehicle. Money is saved, the situation is dealt with, and nobody dies. At 1/100th the cost. What can stop the murder of young minority men by WASP, white supremacy enforcement, domestic terrorist pigs by the end of next year? Again, for the Messiah, this is simple to figure out because I am a servant of God and a genius. It also helps not to be massively brain damaged, heavy metal crazed, feminized, formaldehyde brain damaged, insane, parasitically controlled, and suicidal. RoboCops operated by anyone on the planet Earth other than inbred American rabid dogs do not. And then there's a image here or an article about some Florida cop. Cop in Florida arrested for giving traffic tickets to anyone who is not white for no reason. And then there's an article about the abuse of civil forfeiture laws, 100,000 taken from a man during a traffic stop. And then pictured below is the only technology that should be transferred to local pig departments. The technology pictured below are existing, proven, simple, cheap, with lots of spare parts available RoboCop platforms. Of these can replace one pig immediately by either taking out the passenger seat or modifying the trunk so that it lowers a ramp from which the RoboCop exits. The remaining bacon, which is no longer really necessary, never leaves its bulletproof, air-conditioned / heated patrol car. So the inbred, dick-breath, mercury and lead-crazed WAS who loves to lynch unarmed minorities, KKK and NRA member, pin dick, sundown town demon, cannot say it is in fear of its pathetic life, so it does not need a fucking gun at all. The little robots surround an uncooperative suspect and then immobilize his legs with interlocking electrified nets or bolas. Nobody dies. Let's see. Or this $500 drone drops a net on the suspect or a canister of sleeping gas. Not the stuff used by the Russians that killed 300 people in the 300 of the hostages. This is what WASP, white supremacy enforcement, domestic terrorist officers look like to unarmed minorities. This is a picture of Jeremy Salinger, General Motors Research and Development Manager for Super Cruise. He's demonstrating the semi-automated driving that works perfectly for police functions. The RoboCop programmers would have access to GPS, Google Maps and Earth, etc. to anticipate driving challenges in real time. A human driver is not needed. If there are no pigs with guns confronting the young unarmed African man, then the feminized pin-dicked WASP motherfuckers can't kill him. And then there's a picture of Google's self-driving car prototype. Oh, okay. The issue of lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we're jumping down to, so the Messiah says that the NYPD does not need any WASP rabbit dogs with guns at all. Certainly, they are no longer needed to drive a patrol vehicle. Several types of land and aerial platforms can be carried in large, fully automated police vans or very small, fully automated cars with no inbred WASP mass-murdering Cardozo's disease loves to kill unarmed minorities, bigoted domestic terrorist Republic fuck officers on board. And just like the Indians that are preventing formaldehyde and mercury brain-damaged American healthcare workers from injuring and killing their patients by monitoring them with video cameras in every hospital room, only Indians halfway around the world will have control over all of these fully independent 2-, 3-, and 4-wheeled and flying robots. Everything is videotaped and stored in India, so the typical 5+ years corrupt WASP cop cannot fuck with the videos, or as is the case, are refusing to release body cam videos because it incriminates the fucking pig scum. The sides of the vans show movies when it is parked in the hood and provides free wireless high-speed internet. In the summer, the RoboCop police vans also give away free snow cones when parked in the hood. In the winter, they give anybody in the hood who wants it hot chocolate for free. This Republic cunt, man-boob, testosterone level 7 resident of the city of New Green, Rudy Giuliani, is the perfect example of the mental degeneration presented by your entire mercury crazed, massively brain damaged, mass murdering, rabid dog, suicidal, feminized civilization. The manifestation of an insane suicidal civilization is called the Arctic sea ice ozone mercury pump, which is caused by a combination of two other manifestations of an insane suicidal civilization: the destruction of the ozone layer and global warming. The Arctic sea ice ozone mercury pump is exponentially increasing levels of mercury in the environment due to the insane suicidal minions of Satan behavior of wasps in general and Republicans in particular. Due to the genetic defect wasps all share, called Cardoz's disease, wasps are unable to remove the heavy metals lead and mercury from their obese bodies. The insanity presented by wasps, and especially Republifucks, is the manifestation of mercury poisoning, which is called Mad Hatter's disease, and lead poisoning, which is called voting Republifuck. This is why no amount of training of genetic wasp garbage will stop their insane, rabid dog, suicidal behavior and murder of unarmed minorities. The horrifying facts are that the city of New Greed, which controls the entire country, is itself controlled by Jews/Yids/dragons who worship the genocidal, racist, mass-murdering, demonic entity called Yahshua, that calls the earth a whore, to be disrespected, abused, and destroyed. Remember, it was this dragon scum who ordered the Romans to nail the Son of God to a Ku Klux Klan cross. This is exactly the type of behavior one expects from a minion of Satan. I am a Roman Catholic. This is the only true faith. The combination of systemic, mental, and physical degeneration combined with the dragon's Satan worship means the entire planet Earth has been destroyed. Only I have the intelligence to delay the destruction. In order to delay your suicide, I need the resources from at least two Nobel Prizes. 3 would be better. Back to this asshole, Rudy Giuliani. I have worked in hospitals and nursing homes as a certified nursing assistant and as a registered nursing student. Understand that 90% of RN duties fall under the scope of practice of a CNA. I have worked with many male and female patients, 88 to 96 years old, whose arms, legs, eyes, and ears all work perfectly. But due to the cumulative mental degenerative effects of all the causes detailed in Miracle 1, document titled number 3, the causes of brain damage leading to the permanent lowering of the American IQ, and others yet to be identified, all these WASP patients had the mental abilities of an armadillo, were very violent, had to be held in restraints, and voted Republican. Just as one can clearly see the feminization of your entire loves to shoot and lynch unarmed minority civilizations in the generations of the Robertson family, as detailed within Miracle 4 document, quote, wag the dog, unquote, Rudy Giuliani's descent into insanity is clearly evident. Shit for Brains began as a Democrat, but he drank the unfiltered tap water and never underwent chelation therapy. All the stuff from Miracle 1, Document 3, the causes of brain damage leading to the permanent lowering of the American IQ, and never asked his doctor for androgel, even though his testosterone levels fell to 7. And I go on to just razz on Rudy Giuliani for being an asshole, because all we needed to do is invest the money that the dragons are sitting on into public works projects, and everyone would have a job, and there would be no black-on-black crime. And then I'm going down here to this poor little kid, Dakota Nansvizer, was blind from birth, had some psycho bitches take his cane away because kids were fucking with him on the school bus, and instead of disciplining the kids on the school bus, they took away his cane. So I state, females must never be allowed to provide patient care unless they are under the direct visual supervision via video cameras in every room of Indians in India. Okay, then we're jumping down to, let's see, in every high school, community college, university, and medical school, no teacher ever receives tenure, and all existing tenures are revoked. Any claims of teacher abuse is handled entirely by students. All students record in some way any and all interactions with teachers whenever and wherever they want. It is just as insane to have these WASP inbred assholes confuse a grand jury made up of WASPs who would have set Emmett Till's murderers free, as it is to have faculty of your failing institutions of stupidity investigate Alzheimer's disease, Mad Hatter's disease, Cardozo's disease, demented sadistic WASP, Nazi fucking cow, KKK, and NRA tenured teachers, etc. Okay, so we're jumping down, and okay. Yeah, well, it says here, only Hispanics are sane, Catholic, and have never in the history of this mass murdering piece of shit, morally bankrupt country committed a mass murder of persons not known to them. And then go down here to list of NYPD abuses, power, rape, extortion, murder. And Frank Leno, Clifford Clover, Patrick Dorzimon, Timothy Stansberg, Sean Bell, Alexandrian Lynn, Eric Garner, Akeya Gurley, 30th Precinct corruption arrest, 48th Precinct corruption arrest, 38th Precinct corruption arrest. Oh, NYPD rape cop scandals, rigging of evidence to secure conviction. You guys are real monsters. Okay, so we go down here, and then we have policing for profit, the abuse of civil asset forfeiture. And there's an article about a bunch of people. Oh, Jennifer Boatwright, yeah. There's an article from the New Yorker. And we're coming down some more. Where are we? Oh, yeah, a bunch of cases where people got shot, innocent people, and the cops are scot-free. That's real. Oh, yeah, Eleanor. Here's Eleanor Bumpers. Poor old lady, paying $65 a month. Mentally challenged, got shot twice with a shotgun by a couple of cops. Her rent was $98.65 with a fucking shotgun. Anyway, okay, and then there's the Diallo murder. Just describing all this scum. Oh, apparently Diallo, his only crime was being black male and having a cat, and his only crime was catching the attention of police. And they shot him. Okay, and they didn't have to pay any consequences. So we're going. Okay, so then I come down here, and there's that article, Mercury disposition and ozone depletion linked to sea ice dynamics. That's that mercury ozone mercury pump article, which is why WASPs are just getting crazier and crazier, and is why events like the Charleston 9 massacre will just increase. And notice how this motherfucker looks a lot like Darren Wilson, looks a lot like that Eric Feen guy that killed those cops. They all look the same. That's inbreeding, people. Okay, and then autism goes from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 68, but that's actually a trailing value. It's actually more like 1 in 1, so U.S. females should not be having children. Oh, yeah, the drones. Yeah, stop killing people with drones, you stupid fucks. Invest in America. Those stupid yids who are making fun of the president, telling him to go see Django. And we're moving down. Oh, in the Stanford prison experiment. This is an experiment where a group of students were divided into guards and prisoners, and because WASP's genetics is garbage and you are sadistic assholes, they immediately turned into sadistic assholes, and they had to stop the experiment in 1971. Yeah, you're scum. WASPs are scum. And the New York Times calls for Cheney to be, yeah, Dick Cheney's a perfect example. He's tortured all these people. How come he isn't in jail? And, what was the other one? There was also, I bypassed it. There was also the experiment with the blue eyes. And there it is. Jane Elliott's 1968, Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes experiment. This is an experiment that Jane Elliott, a teacher in the Midwest where there was no black people, she wanted to teach her kids about discrimination. So they chose the brown-eyed kids one day would wear collars, and then the blue-eyed kids would wear collars, and then whoever was wearing the collars, they were discriminated against, and they found that it was horrible for the kids, and they had to stop the experiment just from these freaking colors, and just over a period of a couple of days. So if you're black and you go through that your entire life, I can see where you might build up some anxiety. And that basically ends it. Yep. With a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay, well, I would say this drone is pretty effective at hitting moving targets, whether that's other drones in the air or even people on the ground.
Looks like we've got some lost and confused visitors over there. Let's take a closer look. No, I don't think I recognize any of those guys. Let's take them out. That was awesome. Look at the guy's head rolling down the hill.
Maybe, Mr. President, if you stopped in at a shelter in Chicago and spoke to the homeless there. Maybe, Mr. President, if you asked a woman who had been denied the help she needed to feed her children because you said you needed the money for a tax break for a millionaire or for a missile we couldn't afford to use. Maybe, Mr. President, but I'm afraid not. Because the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that this is how we were warned it would be. President Reagan told us from the very beginning that he believed in a kind of social Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Government can't do everything, we were told, so it should settle for taking care of the strong and hope that economic ambition and charity will do the rest. Make the rich richer, and what falls from the table will be enough for the middle class and those who are trying desperately to work their way into the middle class.